This is Cadillac's hit music station, 107.9 CDY, and Cadillac Unscripted is about to celebrate its 6-month anniversary, and we're going to give you an encore presentation of our very first show from the first Saturday of 2020, as we welcomed to the guest microphone Chef Hermann for our first show. And Cadillac Unscripted is sponsored by Independent Bank. Cadillac's hit music station, 107.9 CDY. You are into the ground floor of something we think is really special here on the radio station. I have, to my right, Katy Huckle with me. Katy, good morning.
Good morning, Rich.
You and I have talked for years about getting together and doing a talk show that highlights the good things that are going on in the Cadillac area. And here we are.
We're doing it. We're putting it together. And there's so many wonderful things to talk about. There's so many hometown heroes. There's so many local celebrities and leaders. And that's what this show is going to be all about, is what's going on in Cadillac that's fabulous.
And who have we chosen as our first guest?
Our very first guest is Cadillac royalty. Chef Hermann is with us in the studio today. And he agreed to kind of talk to us off the cuff.
Well, we got to watch that with him.
But I think so many people, when they see Chef, they'll say hello, but I know that they'd love to ask him some questions. And Chef and I are dear friends, and I know he has no problem answering questions. But I think sometimes people can be intimidated a little bit by Chef. And so I thought, let's bring him into the studio. He's truly a shining star of Cadillac, not just his food, but his personality. And I'll never forget mentioning in 1993, that I was going to move to Cadillac, and my uncle said, you know, that Chef Hermann in Minneapolis, this is, that Chef Hermann lives there and has a restaurant. And so he's known all over the world. So we're looking forward to talking to you, Chef.
All right.
You introduced me. I'm just a humble man, and we're only as good as our last meal, right?
Well, that's very appropriate.
Spoken like a chef.
Well, so to that, because I think a lot of folks would be curious about this. You cook all day, you plan menus, you run your catering jobs too. What does Hermann want to have when he gets home from work? You walk into your beautiful home, you're going to have what for dinner?
Something cooked by somebody else.
Not really. Last night, I made roast beef, homemade sauerkraut, creamed spinach, roasted potatoes, and pearl onions, and au jus. With a nice red wine, and my sister-in-law made a pumpkin torte, and we had a good dinner.
Oh, my goodness. And this is after a long day of working. I love it. Okay, so I would also like to know, Roman and Josie grow up in this gourmet home. They both spent time in the restaurant. They're out in the world now. What happens when Roman and Josie, your children, go to a restaurant? I mean, how can they compare growing up with your food to what's going on out there?
Well, they tell me it's tough.
Is that so?
Well, you know, especially Roman, who, he likes escargot, he likes, fresh trout or something. So it's tough in Nashville. So, sometimes they have to spend up to $50 to $80 a person to get a decent Hermann meal, kind of, upscale.
Oh, yes. Got to kick it up.
That's a problem.
Okay. So the other question that I have is, we see, and I was guilty of this too, it's easy to kind of make the kids what's easy at home for parents with young children. And so what advice would you have? You see kids coming to the restaurant. What advice would you have to families and parents and grandparents about kids and their palates?
Well, don't cater to them and bring them fast food. My thing was always, we go out once a week for fast food.
Okay.
So to satisfy what their bodies are doing, but otherwise I bring something from the restaurant, or I braise something, and we have a dinner usually 3 times to 4 times a week together.
Very nice.
So that was the highlight. Okay. And I didn't ask what they like. I just brought home what is good,
Yeah, this is what we're having.
That's what we're having, and Marty cooked breakfast. I don't cook much breakfast, Okay. And but that's what we're having, and it was good. It worked well.
Oh.
Do we think it's more important for families to be together than what it is you eat?
100%. Mm-hmm. You're gonna. relax a little bit, and then the questions come. The answers should be thoughtful, and it's a gathering place. It should be it works. Let me put it this way. And you always make sure you take a little time.
Okay, very good.
It's not just eat and run. No, it's eat, and then we sit down a minute, and then you do your thing, That's important, I think.
I agree.
So you've owned the restaurant for so long. How many years?
35.
35 years, but there's a rich career history prior to that, and you speak 5 languages. Can you tell everybody out there where you started and then how you got here?
Well, I started in Vienna in the Hotel Sacher, which are now, I see they are on Instagram. And today they have a picture of their little pastry shop. Okay, but that hotel been there since Vienna Congress, since I think late 1700s. So, they got some history. They started out as a chambre de séparé, which was food and women, and it developed into some good restaurant and good food.
Wow. And so from Vienna to?
From Vienna to Sweden.
Okay.
I worked in the Bernsalonga, which was Strindberg's, was an entertainment complex where Dinah Ross appeared, and the bigwigs appeared. ABBA appeared. Mm-hmm. So we had big dinners.
And you've cooked for royalty?
Yeah, we cooked for the kings and stuff, but no big deal.
No big deal.
No big deal.
No, not at all.
No.
So when you go to somebody else's restaurant, how does that work?
Well, I usually have to be quiet because Marty hits me under the table, and and I just don't say anything.
So what's your favorite type of restaurant to go to if you're in a metropolitan area?
Okay, well, in Nashville, I go for the Nashville chicken.
Sure.
Beautiful. I mean, fresh. Mm-hmm. You have to line up, but the food is excellent, and you get it in a little basket. But, and have a beer, and Nashville chicken was excellent. Oh. I like that kind of thing, That's...
You like to keep it kind of casual, then?
Yeah, I keep it casual because if I go to a fancy restaurant, I can't keep my mouth shut. So that's the problem.
Okay, so you've been a mentor to so many people, myself included, with your tips and just your knowledge. Who's your cooking idol? Who do you look to?
They're all dead.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the classic chefs, they really, to make the sauces from scratch, to start from scratch. I give you an example. I had an apprentice from the Culinary Institute, blah, blah. And they said, Chef, we're out of mayonnaise. What do you mean we're out of mayonnaise? Because for him, mayonnaise comes in a jar. Mm-hmm. For me, I said, do we have oil? Do we have egg yolks? Do we have mustard? Do we have salt, white pepper? Yes, Chef. I said, we make some mayonnaise. End of story.
I'm telling you, most people don't know this. I'm telling you.
We make mayonnaise.
Okay.
Well, 8 or 10 minutes later, we have mayonnaise.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
I just give you an example.
Yeah, that's a very good example.
We are out of. I hate that.
Oh, doesn't go over well.
Yeah, or I want. Ooh. Bad. My children never started a sentence with I need or I want.
Okay.
Because it ain't going to happen.
So
ask nicely.
Yeah, may I? You can consider it, Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can, but I need, I want. No, you got everything you need. And what you want, I have already decided is not necessary.
There you go.
So I have several folks that I know that worked in your restaurant, but then they were able to go to big cities and work in big restaurants because of the experience. And to be honest with you, you have high expectations of your people when they come to work for you. Can you talk a little bit about what it takes? And
the expectations are only give me the maximum effort.
Okay.
That's the expectation I have.
Okay.
I'm like a football coach or a soccer coach. You put you in there, give me the maximum effort. Okay. Everything else, okay, we can do it, but give me the effort.
And you can recognize when you're not seeing it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. If I just see an attempt, you're gone.
So what would you tell to somebody that was ambitious and wanted to go into the restaurant business? What advice would you give somebody?
Do not do it.
No, really?
Well, it's I've been doing this a lifetime, Katy, 58 years. September 9th, 1961, I started my apprenticeship. I looked this up because I went through the paperwork in the big August, so all my cabinet where my mother's stuff is and my father, and I found my stuff. 1961, September 9th, I started in the Hotel Sacher in Vienna. 5 years of apprenticeship. They don't start at 14 anymore in Austria. They start at 16. And we started at 14 and went to hotel school about 2 weeks later,
Do you still love it?
Let me put it this way. My enthusiasm used to be like a 15,000 BTU stove of gas. Now it's a pilot light.
Well, you seem pretty fired up to me.
No, well, that's what it is. I mean, there's situations, where I go downstairs because I've seen it so many times. I need to scream in the bathroom,
Okay, so you could have gone anywhere, and you did. You went everywhere.
Yeah, I went to Nepal, I went to Bermuda, St. Lucia, Thailand, I went everywhere.
But you stayed here, and you made a thriving business. And what would you tell? Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because the woman I have is a lady that awesome, okay?
Oh, great. Okay.
37 years of marriage, awesome.
Okay. And you built a beautiful life.
Well, she's you can't do this kind of stuff if you don't have a person supporting you. You cannot do it.
Right.
You can't work the 60-hour week, day in and day out, if you don't have. She worked 18 years in the restaurant business and never wanted a restaurant, okay?
And here it's 35 years at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Cadillac Unscripted is sponsored by Independent Bank. Part 2 of our conversation with Chef Hermann is coming up next on 107.9 CD. This is an encore presentation of our very first Cadillac Unscripted from the first Saturday of January 2020. This edition is sponsored by Independent Bank, and we chatted back in January with Chef Hermann, and it was so entertaining that we decided we'd give it to you again here on Memorial Day weekend on 107.9 CDY.
What's your favorite, and I know you're going to say to people, but what's your favorite thing about Cadillac?
I love Cadillac. I always loved Cadillac. The community, we came here, and my wife's from the area. She never wanted to come back, but we persuaded her, and they embraced me, and it was fab. It's been a heck of a ride.
Mm-hmm. You don't talk about this publicly much, but you're a devout Catholic. And I know, because I've seen you in action, if your friends are sick and they're in the hospital, sometimes there's a visit and sometimes there's gourmet food. And
well, I don't want to, the friends are friends, okay? And you got to be there for them when the need is there. Yeah. There's no question. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's no question.
Mm-hmm. So it kind of brightens up somebody's day when you show up in their hospital room.
Yeah, but when I was in the hospital, the only thing I had from the hospital food was the toast in the morning.
You had people bringing you stuff after?
Oh, yeah. Coffee, everything. I couldn't handle it.
It had to be maybe your food.
Well, I couldn't handle it.
Okay. Yes. Well.
I had, hors d'oeuvre trays there for people visiting, and coffee, and you were
having a little social hour in your hospital.
Yeah. Because I had a private room, and that's the way to go.
Yeah. Oh, that's the way to go. Good. This is good to know, Rich.
We're learning a lot here today.
Yeah, well, this is, you need the coffee in them. I can't drink this coffee,
It has to be your coffee.
It had to be a touch of Kahlua in there, yeah.
Oh, I love it. So when the kids come home, they want you to make what?
Well, it depends,
Okay.
Katy. It depends. Something Austrian usually.
Okay.
So they, like Austrian goulash or, something Austrian. Make something,
Okay.
But kind of, sometimes we grill out and have good grilled food, with some sauces.
Of course.
To dip in.
You have to have the sauces. So on Father's Day, what happens? Because now it's somebody's turn to cook for you on Father's Day. So what happens?
Oh, he's shaking his head.
Father's Day is ignored. Mother's Day is not. Father's Day, I don't like this.
You don't need any fanfare.
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Oh, I love it.
It's just Father's Day is Father's Day. It's my birthday that month anyway. After the Father's Day, 2 weeks later or something. So we ignore that.
We ignore that.
Or
Okay.
we go out or have a double crown and soda or something.
So you went home, a little over a year ago, and you got to hang out with some of your high school buddies.
Yeah, I have two good friends.
Okay.
Yeah. In my hometown, and there's Francie I went to kindergarten with.
Oh, my.
I know. And his wife Sissy, and then there's Georg, who became a doctor, oncologist, radiologist. He's retired now, so I have to, I spend 5-6 days with Georg and Sissy. Then, with Francie and Sissy, then Georg picks me up. I usually ditch the rental car because he says we don't need a car.
Okay.
And he bought a brand new BMW, and he hates seatbelts. You know what he did?
Oh, no.
He cut the seatbelt and put it in so the car thinks the seatbelt is on.
So the dinger doesn't go off.
Oh, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Oh, that's funny.
It's funny.
Oh, boy. So growing up, and you've told stories about your grandmother before, but who was the cook growing up that you looked up to in the house or in the family?
Well, my grandmother asked me in the morning before I went to school, Hermie, what you like for lunch when you come home? So I started, and you know what? We had a small little homestead, like you call a homestead in America. And even though we were occupied by the Russians for 10 years, our side, so we didn't get the Marshall Plan, but we had plenty to eat. And she worked for the Russian officers, commandantur, and she cooked for them because we had an old bakery oven, Katy. Imagine an old bakery oven outside, attached to a wall, and then with the brick. And my grandfather kept wood in there and kept it alive every week. And then every Thursday and Friday, Oma baked the rye bread with a thick crust. So the Russian officers got a whiff of that and bought all the bread every week.
Oh, my.
For weeks and weeks, of course, at very inflated prices. But they bought it all. And that led to Grandma cooking for them once a day. The main meal for the Russian people was at 1 p.m. Okay, that's their main. Okay. And I grew up on beluga caviar because she stole half a pound a week. So it didn't really matter. It was the fish eggs. They're good for you.
Oh, that's an amazing story. Wow.
So, yeah, I learned cooking from her.
Wow. Have you thought about writing a book?
No.
Oh. That's just,
my wife might be.
That was a very abrupt and sudden answer.
No, it's just
he knows the answers before I even ask him, right. Rich. So, any questions from you, boss?
You really answered. You asked all the questions that I was interested in. Obviously, when you grow up to be accomplished in your field, there has to be that one person that was an influence, and it sounds like.
Well, Grandma was, and then of course my chef was at the Hotel Sacher. Who really, Herr Kuban, he took a shining to me. Okay, so. He was tough. Don't misunderstand me. You don't want a tougher, but I couldn't do any wrong. I mean, he went on the mat for me a couple times, and I for him. I'll tell you a little story. We had an apprentice and we had a competition. They brought half a steer in, and we had to bone it out, and then who was faster? And this is not done, okay? But chef said, "Oh, we'll see who is faster," So. He inspected all the pieces, and he declared, "Well, Hansi, you were faster, but Hermann's is nicer, and I can use everything. Hermann won." And the guy, of course, was second-year apprentice, or third year, I believe. And he said, "Chef, that's not fair. I beat him." I decided that's what it is. So he said, and he took a piece of about 16-pound strip loin and hit him over the head. So the guy went down, I had to get the ammonia out and get him back. And of course, he went home and told his mother. Well, next day, his mother came in, and we had to go to the director of the, and it was a big deal because, and the director asked me, what did you see? I saw nothing. I was like Schultz. I saw nothing. So we went out of there, and Chef said, you did well, Hermie. Okay, Chef. That was the end of it. And then 2 weeks later, he fired him. He's too weak to be a chef.
I think you got your management style from this man as well.
I got my management.
What you're talking about this, and it's interesting because you're bringing up competitiveness. The thing that I'm interested in is, what do you think about all of these cooking shows that are on TV? Years ago, these things that were not televised. You're shaking your head.
There's only 1 or 2 people that can cook.
Okay.
The rest is all fake.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
Who do you who on TV would you suggest someone watch?
Emerald.
Okay.
He's real.
Okay.
But he can't bake.
Okay.
But he's a good chef, but he's not.
So he's not a home run hitter, but he's a solid triple.
He's a good chef. He's just not a good pastry chef.
Okay.
Okay. That's about it.
Okay.
And
then there's one guy in England that can cook. Okay. Well, I forgot his name. He got a show on, and he has a kids show, and those kids amaze me.
Is that Gordon Ramsay?
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay, yeah. And he has a kids show, and the children, the talent of the young people amazes me. Amazes me.
Does it do your heart good to see the younger generation?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did not exist in the old days.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Did you ever have a period of time when you were afraid that there would be people who wouldn't pick up the mantle?
I never had time to worry about. Okay, but look at all the cooking schools in America. Mm-hmm. Culinary Institute, Johnson & Wales College. And the only problem is with the people coming out is they think they know. They just started.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They just started.
You've had hotels ask you to come in and run institutes and schools, and is that something in your no? That's no.
I'm a bad teacher.
Why?
Because I have no patience.
Oh, okay.
I tell you once, okay, listen. Mm-hmm. And another thing I do not like, when somebody says to me, I know. You wouldn't be here if you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That you can't learn if you're not humble. I'm pretty advanced in age, and I'm still humble because I don't want the Lord to humble me. Oh. I start out humble.
Okay.
Because I want to learn more. There's more to see, more to learn, Maybe there's a new trick out there. Maybe there's a new ingredient. That's the only thing that we have new. Otherwise, all the ingredients that exist, you just mix up different together. Mm-hmm. To get a different result, but there's no new ingredient.
You never stop learning.
No, but if there's a new ingredient we have, or like we call the pepper the king of spices. Oh. There was a new ingredient. A lot of ladies told me about, a couple days ago, potatoes didn't Genghis Khan. I said, no, there was no Genghis Khan, didn't know potatoes. They came from America. And they cooked the flowers first because they threw the roots away. That's the fruit. But it took time.
I see.
But a new ingredient, then we can do something new.
Okay.
I will tell you that I have a pork chop recipe that my wife and my kids love, and it's based on something I saw you do on your segment on 9 and 10 when you said pepper is the king of spices.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
And make sure the pork always pounded a little bit before you cook it.
And well done.
Yeah, always well done.
Yeah.
Chicken and pork, there is no in between.
Yeah.
People, I like my pork tenderloin. No. Well done. It's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
This has been entertaining, Katy.
I know. He's the best.
He's the best. Yeah.
Well, thank you. You're too nice to me.
I didn't. When you said let's have Chef Hermann as our first guest, I said absolutely. Let's go for it.
Oh yeah.
We appreciate your time.
Well,
Chef.
thank you very much. I was honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chef.
Join us again next Saturday morning at 8:30 when we bring you another topic of interest on Cadillac Unscripted. It is sponsored by Independent Bank on 107.9 CDY and is heard every Saturday morning at 8:30. If you missed any of this show, you can find it on our YouTube page from back in January. We'll see you next week on 107.9 CDY.